Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to talk about Ezekiel. I don't know if you've ever read Ezekiel, it's quite trippy. The man has some seriously odd prophetic acts that he has to go through and that happens to him in some odd trances. Today I want to talk about Ezekiel chapter 8 and specifically verse 3. Um, Ezekiel chapter 8 begins with Ezekiel sitting in his house in exile along the Kebar River, which is in Iraq, which would have been, they were exiled by Babylon. And he's sitting in his house, and he says, in the 6th year, in the 6th month of the 5th day. So he's been in captivity for 6 years, 6 months, and 5 days. Okay, and it says that the elders of Judah were sitting before me. So it could be the elders of the tribe of Judah, or like the kingdom of Judah, because Israel and Judah had been separated before they went into exile. But either way, so they're sitting before him. So they're at Ezekiel's house, just chilling. And then it says, he says, while they were sitting before me, the hand of the sovereign Lord came on me there. I looked, and I saw a figure that of a man. From what appeared to be from his waist down, he was like fire, and from up his appearance was bright as metal. Now, he stretched out what looked like a hand and took me by the hair of my head. The Spirit lifted me up between heaven and earth, and in visions of God, he took me to Jerusalem. Okay, so what's going to proceed is that Ezekiel is going to have a vision of Jerusalem, and very specifically the temple in Jerusalem. And God's going to show him all the horrible things that are happening within his temple. And he's going to show him that they've set up other gods in his temple. They're worshiping other gods in his temple. They're using it as like a base to pray from towards another god in the east at his temple, and that the leaders that are still in Jerusalem are pushing this, that they're going for this. The Lord talks about how they've said, "Oh, Jerusalem is a pot, and this is our meat." Like basically, we get our cake and get to eat it too, right? Like this is ours for the taking. And God's like, no, this isn't going to continue. He actually, in the vision, sends an angel to go mark the foreheads of the ones who have stayed holy, and then is saying, I'm going to kill everybody else. And in the middle of this vision, Ezekiel is seeing and prophesying what's going to happen within his vision. One of the main guys who's like heading up this departure from holiness and encourage people to do this dies in the middle of his vision as he's prophesying. And it happened in real life they believe at the same time also. And so Ezekiel freaks out, and he's like, God, like, is anybody going to be left? And God tells him, hey, don't worry, I've left a remnant. Actually, those who like have gone into exile will come back as like a remnant, so it's fine. And this is from like Ezekiel 8-11, and in this we get to learn about the cherubim that are like a wheel within a wheel, and the 4 living creatures with the eyes all over them and 4 different heads. Like, it's trippy. But here's my question, because we could talk about this prophecy. I almost said recipe. This prophecy for months. But so I've always liked it and found it funny because in the English it says that God picked him up by his head, or by his hair of his head, right? And to me that always gave like the idea of like a little kid being like, I don't want to go. But I don't think that was what was happening. So so we've translated it to, he picked him up by the hair of his head and took him on a vision. And it says that he took him into the place in between heaven and earth. And in this vision, Ezekiel gets to sadly watch the Spirit of God leave the temple and go back up. Leave the temple and go and wait. But like the Spirit of God departs, like, no boy, no. But anyway, so I was talking with one of my Jewish friends about it, and I was like, do you guys have the same story? And she's like, yeah, but I've never thought it was his hair. She's like, I thought it was from the Tefillin. So I don't know if you've ever seen it in real life or the pictures, but especially when praying, It goes back from the books of the law where God tells them to bind the scripture to their around their hands and their arms and their heads. So it's like a little box that they strap on. And she said, I always thought that God like used it as like a portal and like picked him up from that spot. And so that could totally be true, right? Because like he's centered on praying and everything like that. So I looked up the original word in Hebrew, and it can mean a tassel or a lock. So that, and I was like, well, does that work? And it could work because like it's locked in, or like like it kind of has like a tassel that hangs out. I think in English we translated it to hair because of the word lock, like a lock of hair on that. But either way, in his vision, Ezekiel was picked up by his head and taken into a vision. And I just find that like so interesting. Like, why did God do it that way? I don't know. Like, was there a purpose? What do you guys think? Like, or is it just like, it's like one of those things. You're like, oh, Ezekiel's going to have another vision. And you're like, whoa, you just picked him up literally by his head to take him. Not by the hand, not just like, boom, you're here now. Let me pick you up by the head so you can see what's going on here. So archaeologically and anthropology, historically wise, looking at it, we also learned that not everybody was taken into captivity when Babylon exiled everybody, because there are still leaders and people living in Jerusalem who are doing horrible things, but they're still living there. So anyways, that was my random fun fact from the Bible today is, did God pick Ezekiel up by his hair? But he did by the head. Interesting. Cool. I mean, is that how you would want to like go into a trance, into a vision? I don't know. So go read Ezekiel 8 through 11. See what you guys think. Have a good day, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.